Architecture is a demanding, great profession, and it really encompasses all the liberal arts. Our students are so strong and self-assured by the time they leave, we can compete with anybody in the country.
Architecture is an attractive discipline for individuals who are both left brain and right brain.
I really like how it's a mix between art and science.
It's a fast-paced program and it's ever-changing fields.
You can just really be as creative as you can.
We're always looking for people that have initiative and can think outside the box.
We have a small program, so we dedicate more time and energy to students.
The teachers are very helpful.
Faculty support is great.
The reason the students come here is because of the one-on-one personal experience that they get, along with the brand new facility.
The new facility is awesome.
It's really brought all the different students together.
Since we're all a small class size, we just work well collectively together.
By the time that you are ready to graduate, every single senior and anybody who wants to go on to the master's program can go and get their master's degree in 2 years.
They apply to MArch, Master of Architecture programs, or they apply to related disciplines.
After graduation, I plan on continuing my career in architecture, get a master's degree.
I plan to go to grad school, then become a certified architect.
Okay, very cool. Okay, so good morning, everybody. Hi, my name is Scott McPherson. I'm approaching a little bit differently. I'm a professor of architecture and actually freshman coordinator. I teach all the freshmen. Design studio, I'm a design faculty. I'm a practicing architect for 35 years. I lived in Boston for 20 years and have been in Perrysburg. I live in Perrysburg, just 5 minutes from where you're sitting right now. And I have a firm with my wife, Kate, who is my boss. It's a great profession for females as well as males. 50% of our incoming class this year and every year is male, 50% is female. So it splits pretty much right down the middle. So that's a good thing. And you basically, we're actually also doing the Perrysburg Boathouse. So those of you that you all live in Perrysburg. So if you walk down Louisiana and you go and walk down to the river, you can actually see the boathouse being constructed. It's a smaller job, but you can start. It's a couple $1 million. But what's interesting about it is there's still 20 or 30 consultants on the team. So that an architect, when you hear that he or she is the architect or the architect of this or the architect of that, ostensibly, that means that you're controlling the situation, you're designing, and then you've got engineers. All the engineers work with you and you have to coordinate all the people that go into the job. It's sort of like a film director or a conductor of music. And that being said, so what I want to first do is invite all of you, since you're only 17 minutes away, it would be for the juniors and sophomores, obviously. Next semester, please come down and visit us, right? If you go online and you look up, be proactive and go online and look up under our website and you'll see my name and phone number and email. And I probably will be contacting you anyway. Some of you may have already been down, probably not with the pandemic, but you can come down and basically spend the day with us, sit in on class. We'll take you to lunch. And basically you get a really nice feel for the new facility, which is now 3 years old, but it still feels brand new. And what's great about our facility now is we're also expanding basically another $5 million new addition that's going to be put on in a year. Scott is construction management and I'm architecture. The one thing I wanted to say is we have a new school of the built environment, which is absolutely fantastic. So that basically architecture and CM kind of work hand in glove. This new fab lab and new addition that we're going to be putting on will basically sort of coordinate the two We have mixed curriculum. We may take some of the projects that we do in architecture, work with the CMs, cost estimate it, and actually build it in the new Fab Lab with CNC routers. So it's going to be very, very cool. They have a great one at Michigan Fab Lab, and we're sort of modeling it after that. So I would strongly encourage you to come down and actually shadow. Probably the biggest misnomer in architecture is that you have to be a great mathematician to be architecture. That's not true. About 70% of our students have pre-calc. They have not taken calculus. 30% have calculus or AP Calc and someplace out, but basically 70% have taken pre-calc. The other misnomer is that you have to be a really good artist to be an architect. You don't. You have to have a creative side, which you just showed you, whatever that may be. It may be cars, it may be doodling, it may be building models. It could be anything. It could be music. Maybe you play a musical instrument. So our whole thing is basically, my whole thing for, and I teach all the freshmen. I teach 1050. So if we're lucky enough to have you come to BGSU in a year from now, because maybe some of you are already coming. I don't know how many seniors, juniors, sophomores, and freshmen are in the class right now. But I teach all the freshmen for the first year, first and second year. We have a new core curriculum, and it's basically based on what you're seeing right here, right now. So if you look at, if you guys could do me a favor, I'm not sure, Jeff, are they allowed, if you pull out your phones, please? I want you to be a little bit interactive. So if you just look at biology, if you pull out your phones and look up parametric design, PARAMETRIC, and you'll start to see how biology and architecture coexist with one another. So the whole point is that BGSU is a big liberal arts training ground, but then within that, you'll specialize in architecture. As we talked about, you have to actually have a master's degree. So you'll come to BGSU, and you actually then can stay at BGSU, of course, for a year and a half or 2 years and get your master's degree right at BGSU. I also teach senior thesis, and I also teach graduate school sustainability and green design, which is my passion. So the whole idea of architects is to make a better world, help with the planet Earth. And so you can start to see when you take biology at Perrysburg High School, there is this direct correlation between the field of design and architecture. So I think if you look at parametric design and you start to just sort of start to see the pieces that come up, you'll learn how to do these very cool software pieces, make lots of models. Mathematics is important, but at the same time, if you just, even if you can't look it up on your phone right now, just write down the golden section. So you can start to see how the pyramids were built, and then IMP's Louvre in Paris. We take people to Paris, London, Rome. You can study abroad, all the different things that you can do. Last year, they went to Barcelona. The year before that, they were in London, Paris, Rome. Students go to Beijing. They go all over the world, and can study. So mathematics is very, very important as well. So is art. So if you do like to draw, I'm actually an artist. So you can start to see that basically there is this very strong correlation between the field of art and architecture. So I just got done teaching 52 freshmen. They're just finishing up this week. And the whole class is based on architecture and the liberal arts. So what you're seeing right now is I extrapolate on this, and we spend 2 weeks on art, 2 weeks on math, 2 weeks on biology, 2 weeks on philosophy, et cetera. And then we pull it all back into architecture, and they have to do a sort of very interesting sort of programs and study that sort of thing. So you can start to see how architects are directly related to the field of art to a certain degree. Not only that, but you can start to see geography and how basically land art, if you write down land art, you can start to see how basically siting is incredibly important when it comes to how architects cite things. I'll get into the, whoops, let me just see one thing. So psychology, basically this has to do with natural light. The great architects of the world, men and women, are very concerned about how natural light enters a building. So you can start to see how these sorts of things, really relate. Whoops, frozen. Sorry about that. There we go. Rural studio sociology. So sociology comes into play. Basically, architects are stewards of the environment, just like Scott talked about habitat. You actually have to do 2 co-ops for architecture. In CM, basically it's 3 co-ops. You can do them during the summer. You can do them during the school year. Probably 70 to 80% of our students that are upperclassmen work and go to school at the same time. It works out extremely well. We have a couple $100 million worth of construction going on campus. So we have a capital planning. We have, I believe, 5 or 6 architects every year that work for capital planning. They ask them to come work for them and they have to interview, but they make $15 to $20 an hour. So they're making, they basically hardly have to pay anything to go to school. So as Scott articulated, the co-op program is fantastic. The synergy between with the new school to build an environment is fantastic. You start to look at physics. You look at all sorts of cantilevers. You take mechanical, electrical systems, but the design studio in architecture for the 168 accredited schools, of which we are one, basically is the core of any architectural program. Right, and I'm a design professor. I teach all the freshmen design, then I teach senior thesis, and then I teach graduate school design and sustainable green architecture. So just to sort of show, and the reason, and we have lots of people that also, so I think I have 6 athletes this year. It's kind of unusual. I usually don't have that many. I have a swimmer, 2 track and field, 1 golf, 1 soccer. So as Scott was talking about, college is a fantastic place to experiment, and you're going to be inundated with architecture, but at the same time there's plenty of times to do other. The only other thing that I really wanted to ever do was actually be a film director. My sister's in the film industry out in Hollywood, and but I'm glad I picked architecture. But Star Wars, she worked for George Lucas actually for a long time, so he actually started at architecture at USC. There's a lot of architects that actually end up being that go into film direction and all sorts of other things. So some people, there's a very strong correlation. Frank Lloyd Wright, who I'm sure you've all heard of, he called architecture frozen music. So those of you that play a musical instrument, English, you all know with right now you have a metaphor. All the world's a stage, symbolism. You see, think of the Statue of Liberty, allegory. It's basically all, architecture is all about telling a story, basically walking through space, and basically having natural light come in and having it be a better place. Architects learn how to observe. You sort of take Perrysburg High School for granted, probably don't look around too much, but look around and see the natural light that comes in. You can also look at environmental design. So the reason that we teach this is part of the core curriculum, so that when our students, 65% of your classes, I'm not going to go through them all like Scott. Scott said, there's no time to do it. It's actually 6 after 10, so I'm going to stop soon. So environmental design, sustainable green architecture. If you're not in the loop on this, you're out of the loop. So you definitely want to be very familiar with green, sustainable LEED architecture. Our firm has done several LEED gold buildings in the area. I think we did Maumee Valley Country Day School, if you know where that is, over off of Reynolds Road. It was a $15 million sort of their high school college building. Chemistry, you have to learn about materiality. So there's all these things that you have to sort of learn and do.